I never planned on staying at that hotel. If my flight hadn't been delayed, if the weather hadn't turned bad, if even one other hotel nearby had vacancy, I would have never ended up there. But by the time I landed, it was close to midnight, and every place near the airport was either fully booked or charging prices I couldn't justify for a single night. That's when I found it. The hotel didn't have many reviews. Just enough to seem legitimate. Most of them were short. Vague. Things like quiet stay or fine for one night. Nothing negative. Nothing enthusiastic either. At that point, I just wanted a bed. The building itself looked older than the pictures suggested. The parking lot lights flickered, and only a handful of cars were parked out front. As I stepped inside, the first thing I noticed was how quiet it was. Not peaceful, just empty. No television playing in the lobby. No background music. No distant chatter from guests. Just the low hum of fluorescent lights and the faint smell of old carpet and cleaning chemicals. The front desk clerk didn't look up when I approached. He was staring at his computer screen, unmoving, like he'd been frozen mid-thought. I cleared my throat to get his attention. Slowly, he looked up and forced a smile that didn't reach his eyes. "Checking in?" he asked. I nodded and told him I'd only be staying for the night. Something about that made his fingers pause above the keyboard. He glanced at the screen, then back at me, like he was deciding something. Finally, he typed. The silence stretched uncomfortably long. When he handed me the key card, he said, "4th floor. Room for 17. I took it without thinking, but as I turned toward the elevator, something caught my eye, a faded directory mounted to the wall near the lobby. It listed room numbers by floor. The 4th floor ended at 416. I stopped and looked again. Maybe it was outdated, I told myself. Hotels forget to update signs all the time. Still, the uneasiness followed me into the elevator. There was no music inside. No mirror. Just dull metal walls and flickering lights. When the doors closed, the elevator jerked slightly before moving upward. It felt slower than it should have been, like it was struggling. When the doors opened on the 4th floor, cold air hit my face. The hallway felt different. Colder. The carpet was worn thin, and the walls seemed narrower somehow. The lights buzzed faintly, one of them flickering like it might give out any second. I walked past rooms for 01, for 02, all the way down to 416. At the very end of the hallway was room 417. The door looked newer than the others. The paint wasn't chipped. The number plate wasn't faded. It looked untouched. I told myself I was being paranoid. Inside, the room was clean. Too clean. Like no one had slept there in a long time. The bed was perfectly made. The air smelled stale, like the windows had never been opened. I dropped my bag, locked the door, and tried to relax. That didn't last long. Sometime after 2 a.m., I woke up suddenly. No dream. No noise that I could immediately recognize. Just a deep, instinctive feeling that something was wrong. The room was silent. The air conditioner was off. I hadn't turned it off. As I lay there, trying to calm myself, I heard it, footsteps in the hallway. Slow. Measured. Not rushed. Whoever it was stopped directly outside my door. I stared at the handle, barely breathing. Then I heard the soft beep of a key card hitting the reader. Once. Nothing. Again. The handle didn't move. I was frozen in place, my heart pounding so loudly I was sure whoever was outside could hear it. After a long moment, the footsteps moved away, slowly, down the hall. I didn't sleep again that night. When morning finally came, I packed up and went straight to the front desk. A different clerk was working. I told her I was checking out and mentioned the strange room number. She frowned and started typing. Then she stopped. "There's no room 417, she said. I laughed nervously, thinking it was a mistake, but she turned the screen toward me. The fourth floor ended at 416. There was no record of my stay. No charge on my card. No key issued. No explanation. I reached into my pocket and placed the key card on the counter. Her expression changed. She didn't touch it. She just slid it back toward me and said quietly, "You shouldn't have that." I left without another word. And even now, years later, I still have the card. Because no matter how many hotels I stay in, I never see a room numbered 417. I was working the overnight shift at a hotel when it happened. It wasn't a fancy place. Just a mid-range business hotel near a highway exit. The kind of place where truckers, tired families, and last-minute travelers stayed for one night and left early in the morning. I had taken the night job because it paid a little extra, and because I liked the quiet. Most nights were predictable. Guests checked in late. The phone rang occasionally. Sometimes someone complained about noise or asked for extra towels. After midnight, everything usually settled down. By 2 or 3 in the morning, the hotel felt half asleep, like it was holding its breath until sunrise. That night felt different. It was just after 1:30 a.m. when the phone at the front desk rang. The sound echoed through the empty lobby, sharp and sudden. I answered with the usual greeting. A man's voice came through the line. He sounded calm. Too calm. "I'm calling from room 312, he said. "There's someone in here." I asked what he meant. "There's someone standing in the corner," he replied. "They're not moving." I sat up straighter. I asked if he was alone, if maybe he was seeing a reflection or someone outside the window. He paused before answering. "No," he said slowly. "They're inside the room." I told him to leave immediately and come down to the lobby. That's what we were trained to do in situations like that. Another pause. Longer this time. "I don't think I can," he said. "They're closer now." My stomach tightened. I asked him if the door was locked. I asked him if he was safe. He didn't answer either question. Instead, his voice dropped almost to a whisper. "They don't have a face." The line went dead. I stared at the phone for a few seconds before calling security. We didn't have armed guards, just one older guy who patrolled the halls at night. He met me by the elevator, flashlight in hand, asking what was going on. I told him everything. The ride up to the 3rd floor felt longer than usual. The elevator hummed softly, and neither of us spoke. When the doors opened, the hallway lights flickered once, then stabilized. Room 312 was halfway down the hall. The door was closed. I knocked. No answer. I knocked again, louder this time, announcing myself. Still nothing. The security guard tried the handle. It was unlocked. He pushed the door open slowly, sweeping the flashlight inside. The room was empty. The bed was neatly made. No luggage. No clothes. No sign that anyone had been staying there. The bathroom was spotless. The curtains were drawn shut. The air felt cold, unnaturally cold. I checked the room phone. It was plugged in. When we returned to the front desk, I pulled up the reservation system. Room 312 wasn't occupied. It hadn't been rented in weeks due to maintenance issues. I told myself someone must have dialed the wrong room number. I almost believed it, until the phone rang again. Same time. Same sharp sound. I answered. "This is the front desk," I said. The same man's voice responded. "I'm still here." My blood ran cold. I asked where he was calling from. "Room 312, he said again. I told him that room was empty. I told him we had just checked it. He didn't react to that. "They're standing right next to the bed now," he whispered. "I can hear them breathing." I could hear something faint on the line. A soft sound. Like fabric moving, or bare feet shifting against carpet. I told him to run. To leave the room immediately. I don't think they want me to, he said. Then, very quietly, he added, they're smiling. The call ended. I unplugged the phone after that. I didn't want to hear it ring again. The rest of the night passed in silence. No more calls. No movement on the cameras. When my shift ended, I told the morning manager everything. He looked uncomfortable but said nothing. Later that week, I asked about room 312. He told me the truth. Years earlier, a guest had been found dead in that room. No signs of forced entry. No clear cause. The only strange detail was that the room phone had been off the hook when staff entered, and the call log showed multiple outgoing calls made to the front desk. Calls that no one had answered. Room 312 is still closed. But sometimes, during the overnight shift, the phone still rings. I was staying alone in a hotel when it happened. It was a short trip for work. One night only. The hotel was cheap, just off the interstate, but clean enough. The lobby smelled faintly of cleaning solution, and the front desk clerk barely looked up when I checked in. I got my key, took the elevator up, and found my room at the very end of the hallway. That should have been my first warning. The hallway was long and narrow, with identical doors stretching out in both directions. The lights hummed softly overhead, and the carpet muffled my footsteps. When I reached my room, I noticed the door across the hall was slightly open. Just an inch. I stared at it for a moment, waiting for movement. Nothing happened. I told myself housekeeping must have forgotten to shut it all the way. I unlocked my door, went inside, and locked it behind me. The room itself felt normal. Bed by the window. Desk against the wall. Bathroom light buzzing faintly. I dropped my bag, turned on the TV for background noise, and sat on the edge of the bed scrolling through my phone. That's when I heard the knock. 3 slow taps. Not loud. Not aggressive. Just firm enough to be intentional. I checked the time. A little after midnight. I walked to the door and looked through the peephole. The hallway was empty. No one standing there. No shadow moving away. Just the same quiet corridor, stretching into darkness. I didn't open the door. I went back to the bed and tried to relax. Maybe someone had knocked on the wrong door. Maybe kids. Maybe nothing. 5 minutes later, the knock came again. Same rhythm. Same pressure. Tap. 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 I checked the peephole again. Still nothing. My chest felt tight now. I grabbed my phone, debating whether to call the front desk, when the knocking started a third time. This time, it was closer together. Faster. Tap, 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 tap. Then it stopped. I stood frozen, staring at the door. That's when a voice spoke from the other side. Open the door. It was calm. Flat. Almost emotionless. I didn't respond. Please, the voice continued. I need help. I asked who it was. There was a pause. I'm in the wrong room, the voice said. I just need to come inside for a moment. Something about the way they said it made my skin crawl. The words felt rehearsed. Wrong. I told them to go to the front desk. Another pause. They told me to come here, the voice replied. I backed away from the door, heart pounding. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know if I was overreacting or if I was in real danger. Then the knocking stopped. For a long time, nothing happened. I sat on the bed, lights on, TV muted, listening. Minutes passed. Then, footsteps. Slow footsteps. I watched the shadow beneath my door move, then stop directly in front of it. The handle rattled once. Gently. Like someone testing it. I stood up and yelled that I was calling the police. The footsteps moved away. I didn't sleep that night. In the morning, I went straight to the front desk and told them everything. The clerk's expression changed halfway through my story. He asked me one question. Did you open the door? I told him no. He nodded slowly and leaned closer. You're not the first guest to hear knocking from an empty hallway, he said. It only happens at night. Always the same room number. I asked who it was. He shook his head. All I know, he said quietly, is that the last guest who opened the door never checked out. I left the hotel immediately. And to this day, whenever someone knocks late at night, I never answer.